All right, we're going to try this again. This is Unimagination with the Ethical Asshole, and I am your host, the Salty Bitch. This is Philosophical Coffee. This is my news video letter. I'm going to call it a video newsletter because I don't do the whole newsletter thing. I don't know what happened to the last video. I was in the middle of updating and my video went out and I'm like, can you see me? So I like to make eye contact with my people when I talk to them. So I am currently tightening things up. It's been a while since I've made a change, and I was explaining how we basically grow through a spiral. We have a spiral growth, and the spiral growth literally is, if you look at it, so you're looking down into the funnel, it is points that you hit. And for me, it's 3, and I'm noticing more and more it's 3. And every time you have more than 3, you need to integrate until you get down to 3, and it's always on a 3 point. And it just keeps, the tighter it gets, the more it integrates from 3 down into 1. And then it's integrated. And the closer you get to that one integrated point, that point of integration, what ends up happening, literally, it's the point of integration. The closer you get to it, the faster or the more regulated you are. So if you're not regulated, you're far away from the point of integration. The closer to the point of integration, you're regulated. And when you're finally integrated, oh, you're set. You stop toggling, which is why you'll notice, this is interesting because I've been tracking this in me since I was 15 is when I first started this research, where my mood was like a -30 to a negative or to a positive 30. So I was doing this. And that's when I first started to track. I love it. I remember those days. That's when I first started to track my behavior. And I noticed that it was in a swinging pendulum, a back and forth. But what we don't know is about the spiral, which is the regulation, where, because it wasn't just back and forth. It was one side I was on point A, one side I was on point B, but then one side I was on point C. Then I was on point A, point B, point C, point A, point B, point C. And as I started to condense it down, I noticed that my moods were going from -30 down to -20, down to -10. And that's when I realized it was about, and mind you, again, this is like a 30-year research, where I noticed the more I was mentally healed, the more I was regulated, and the more I was able, I found the frequency of behavior so that I could use a metric of frequency based off of my shifting points to determine where I was in my growth sequence. So that as I got closer to the point of integration, I noticed that there are layers upon layers of integration, and I became more and more regulated the closer to the point of integration I got. So, and it was amazing because there's like 3 streams of integration. You have your career, you have your love life, your relationships, and then you have your actual self relationship. And that's your try to killing point 1, 2, 3. Is try to killing goes over your self relationship. That's where we start you. And then try to killing part 2 goes toward your social. And it's social and career. It does both. And then we get you into the career. And then after that, we integrate them all together, which is try to killing part 4. And I got to this beautiful integration point. And that's it. Try to killing part 4 is the integration point. It's when you learn how to get all 3 of the streams and you bring them together. And when you do that, my God, are you balanced? It really, truly is a point of balance. And this is it, is the closer you get to the point of integration, the less you change, the more solid everything sets up. So when I started building the healing garden, I had this vision, and I couldn't quite pinpoint what the vision was because I went, well, it's education and it's a school, but it's mental health, it's wellness and mental health, but it's also life. And I couldn't figure out where I was going to go with it. Education, wellness, life. And it's like, but it's the same thing. They're exactly the same thing. And that's when I realized they are the same thing. And I'm integrating all 3 of them. So we incorporate education, wellness, life. And I also cannot stand how much we segregate children from actual life. So that children are in this blinded bubble thing, having no clue what the real world is like. And then there are adults who mock them. Oh, well, you're naive. Well, you made them naive by forcing them to be segregated, living in a bubble. So, and it was infuriating. Foundationals have no business parenting. And you got the child out of the bubble finally when they're 20, So now they're 20 years behind because, and this is what we do to our children is when they're 18 to 20, that's when we go, okay, surprise, this is the real world. You just wasted the entire first 20 years of your life. Now you got to figure out what we should have taught you. And so by the time we're 45, that's when we find, which is 25 equivalent, we're just set behind. And this concept of adults and the government stealing our lives has really got to stop, because this is really what it comes down to is this concept of, oh, well, you got to dedicate 20 years to this useless, irrelevant education for nothing and do what we want. And then it takes you 10 years to realize you were lied to. And then it takes you another 15 years to actually do what you needed to do. And you do it better than they did. And now it's so normal that we have names for it, like midlife crisis. And it's like, why are we waiting until we're 45 to figure this out? Why don't we just go back and correct the educational system? So that's what I built, was a corrected educational system so that a child, by the time they're 15, can start their career, know what they want, and it's all relevant education while also using the academic disciplines. So we're not throwing out the academic disciplines. We're doing them the right way and in the right order with supplemental education so they know how to apply the academic disciplines to their life. So it's really interesting when you bring it all together. And I couldn't figure out, because I'm like, well, it looks like a spa, but it's not. And a lot of people were like, oh, you're a wellness coach. No, I'm not. I'm in education. And I had so many people like, oh, so you're a coach. No, I'm in education. So to say you're an educator means you're the ones who teaches the teachers. You're the one who trains teachers. And then you've got the teachers. And the teachers are just rabbits, or they're just parrots who just copy what they're told, which is the problem. You don't want parrots teaching your children, because you'll just end up with a bunch of parroting children. What you want is DIYer and masters with ethical leaders teaching your DIY children to be ethical leaders. It's a fish in a bird. If you want your child to fly, don't hire a fish to do the job. If you want your child to fly, you need a bird to teach your child how to fly. And our government has a bunch of fish trying to teach our children how to fly like birds. That's why no one's flying. We're all drowning because we're all birds who are taught how to fly by a bunch of fish. Boom, drop mic. So I created a school where the birds are teaching the birds how to fly. And I was putting it together. And I wrote The Salmon of Knowledge. That book is done. It's on Kindle Vella. And The Salmon of Knowledge is literally the logic of learning. And it breaks down everything wrong with the system. It shows this is what we need to be building based off of our subconscious mind, based off of biology, based off of chemistry, based off of the sciences, using scientific method. Oh, and by the way, here's the format, and it's literally the Mother Nature sequence. So I put all that together with the book. It was beautiful. Finished the book. And I started off with, this is for educators. And then I went, no, this is for parents. Because, and this is really where I struggle, is technically there should be no teachers. And I explain this in the book. So while I'm writing this book and I have educators reading it, I'm going, you are a violation of nature. The teacher is mistakes. The teacher is trial and error. The teacher are the sciences. The teacher is nature and the experience. You're just a supervisor. So while I'm going through this, I'm going, there shouldn't be teachers. There's supervisors who have forgotten their place. And they're putting themselves into the relationship between student and nature and the process. That is an intimate relationship between student, nature, and the process. And because we don't have people who are overseeing the process, I'm just going to put myself inside the system. And what ends up happening is the teacher comes between the lesson and the student. So the student never learns. And as a result, we've got a lot of 18-year-old plus who are going, I have no idea what I'm doing, because they weren't taught, because the teacher's Mother Nature. What they had was an asshole interfering with their education. So by the time I was done with the book, I realized this has got to be for parents, because parents are a child's headmaster. They are the ones who oversee the quality of the child's education. They're the ones who make all the decisions on the child's education. They're the ones who say, where are we going to live to ensure that the child has the best school? Oh, the parent is in control here. The parent is the headmaster. And parents are the ones with the true child's interest in mind. Teachers, and this is something I explain in my homeschooling course, is teachers' jobs are dependent upon two things: your child being in their school and your child passing. Every school gets a stipend of about anywhere from $25,000 to $45,000 per year per student. So that every school wants a child in their school, because if they don't have children enrolled in their school, they can't get paid from the government. And the government says you got to make them pass. So now you've got these money-focused, agendaed teachers going, okay, so we want students in our school and we want them to pass. And they will lower the standards, sacrifice the curriculum, abuse your child, bully your child to get them to pass so they can get their paycheck. Because if your child doesn't pass, it comes out of their pocket. In addition to that, if you pull your child from their school, the school will come after you because you just took $45,000 away from them. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, so here it's $45,000. I don't know where it would be in other places. It ranges. But here it's $45,000. So when I pulled my daughter out of the public school because their teachers were abusing my daughter to the point where she had multiple symptoms and was sleeping 12 hours a day from the amount of stress and abuse they were causing her, and they wouldn't do anything about it, I finally pulled her and switched her over to homeschool. When I did that, they sent the police after me. They reported me to social services. I had an attorney and all the legal documentation, and I proved it. And they still came after me just to retaliate because I took away their $45,000 a year. And I explained to them, I'm pulling her from your system because you have an abusive teacher who was so abusive that she's now got mental disorders that I now have to address with her. By the way, she's fine. And after 3 months out of the system, her symptoms were gone. It was extraordinary. She's flourishing now. She's got her own educational system that she's following, and it's like 3 times the amount of work that what they've got. And she's actually utilizing it for her own purpose, and she's sculpted it and customized it. It's beautiful. She's using my program to put herself through it, and it's extraordinary. She graduated last year. It was like her last year of high school. She graduated, and she's still learning. So it's all about the environment. It's 100% about the educational environment. So when I built the homeschooling program for the Healing Garden, it was implementing mental health and wellness. By the way, that's why we have school shootings, is because the schools don't provide or take into account a mental environment or an educational environment. And as a result, they've got a lot of, they just don't know how to do their job. So you have education, you have mental health, wellness, but it's life. It's learning how to live life. And the educational system that we currently have literally removes life out of the educational system. So it was really difficult because I saw a spa, but I'm like, it's not a spa. It's not a wellness center. And I ended up attracting a lot of coaches for wellness. And I'm like, yeah, we're not in the same business. And they're like, oh, well, it's this. And they were doing this whole spiritual woo-woo thing. And I'm like, no, I'm science and art and literature. And what are you talking about? And it took me a long time to realize that I am an educator who's taking the holistic spiritual realm and merging them. But the education is not, you need to go get a job at the 9 to 5. No. Hi, this is life. This is how you live life. Now, I'm going to say again, we are following the same U.S. government curriculum. We're just tweaking it to actually direct it, the focal point. What we've done is we've changed the focal point. We've addressed the focal point. We have added the 3 missing academic. You got a fraction. You got 2/3 of the educational system. And in one school I was researching, they actually cut the arts department, so they have 1/3 of the educational program. So there's a curriculum, these are the 18 academic disciplines. What most people get is 1/3 of that curriculum. Some schools have 2/3. If they include an art department, you get 2/3 of the curriculum. No one teaches the full curriculum, the full 18. Theater, stage, linguistics, and logic are removed from the system, and a fraction of the mathematical department. That's all missing. That's the communication center of the curriculum. It's completely gutted from 100% of all U.S. traditional educational systems. So my school puts it back. Now, here's what people don't know. That curriculum is a sequence. It's a logical sequence that has to be followed in the right order of operations. And if you tamper with the sequence, it won't work. So what you received from your educational system was a fraction of a broken sequence that's been gutted in the wrong sequence, which is why, look at the world today, is because all of us came out of an educational system that was broken, fractured, and gutted. So as a result, people can't communicate. They can't connect with others. They don't know how to do basic common sense or problem solving. They have no idea how to be. All of our problems come from the solutions found between theater and stage, linguistics and logic. You add those three back into the curriculum, and it solves all of our problems. Our society suffers from our educational system. That's exactly what an educational system is. So when I realized that what I was doing was combining life school with education and wellness merged into one, I went, oh, well, that explains why I kept getting confused with this whole spa wellness focus, is because it looks like a spa. It looks like a wellness fitness center, discovery center with kitchens. We're adding kitchens to it so that your children will get about 2 hours every day to learn how to cook. We add biology in there with nutrition, health, and we also, that's the time that they eat. So they'll have 2 hours to learn how to cook. It's all vegetarian, vegan focused meals. And we do not teach veganism. We do not teach vegetarianism. What we teach are the 12 ethics, which is what naturally leads to that. And we allow the children to discover that on their own. So we have the 12 ethics with a vegetarian, vegan focus point, and it's literally gradually allowing the children to follow that procedure. Now, for two reasons, we're not doing meat in that curriculum. First of all, it's because we are going to have vegetarian vegans who are part of that, and we just want to tiptoe around that. But the second thing is for health reasons, because cooking meat, especially when you get into pork and fish, is like, now we're looking at health issues. Now we're looking at, let's make sure this is done properly. We don't want to open that door. So when it comes to cooking meats and cooking fish, that's we're not walking into that. I personally can't be around that kind of stuff, because for me, I see gore, and it's just easier, better, safer, healthier if we just don't do the fish and the meat preparation. So it's going to be vegetarian, vegan only. And this is the best part because of that. It provides children with the education on how to eat healthy vegetarian, vegan meals. Huge deal. This has been my biggest problem going vegetarian, vegan, is I didn't know how to do it. And I just cut cold turkey when I realized that I had so many mental health issues involved with my eating meat that I'm like, okay, I got to go vegetarian now fully. And when I did that, oh my God, that aside, I wanted to go vegan, but I didn't know how. That took me a long time to figure out, because I just had this education gap and I had to research it and figure out how to go healthy that route. So by providing that environment in our kitchens, it addresses the health issues as far as we don't have to open the door for, well, we're not handling meat, so we don't have to have all these additional guidelines for that. It's also cheaper. It is so much cheaper, but also it's mentally and physically healthier. So we're going vegetarian, vegan in our kitchens. We teach them how to structure a healthy diet with vegetarian, vegan diets. And then the children are left to decide if they want to go vegan or vegetarian. They're still going to be given the education for both, so that when they are ready to make the transfer over to vegan, they can structure that wisely and intelligently. So they'll get 2 hours in the curriculum a day for them to cook, do the health and the management as well. And we'll have also them sit down and eat the meal while they have that ability to get the education. So there's not going to be a casual 30 minutes, eat the food, get back to class. We're not doing that. Not at all. We're going to use that time to actually educate them on the food they're eating while they're eating it, after they've prepared it, and some meals. So it's going to be food focused. Now, while that's going on, there's also going to be an area where it's full social conversation and that casual lounge. One of the things we noticed, especially around people who are 8 years old and older, they have to socialize. This is part of their mental development, is socializing. So socializing is actually part of the curriculum. Socializing is part of the curriculum. The whole sit down, silent read, we're throwing that out. Absolutely throwing it out. We're going to go more university style with it, where the children can read the books or on their own time. And it's basically the same tools. It's the same curriculum. The difference is we're bringing awareness to linguistics and logic so that they can maximize and optimize the education that they are given. And one of the biggest characteristics of our school is masters only. The people that we pull for our educational system, I have YouTube videos that I am looking for, pulling, and it's literally the masters, the best of the best in their field. I have a physicist on YouTube, wonderful woman. I love her to pieces. And she breaks down the logical steps of this is physics and this is why, and it's the mentality, so that people can watch her YouTube on their own time and learn about physics and the scientist process from somebody with a full degree in it, best of the best. She's phenomenal. And I'm literally going through bit by bit and cherry picking highest quality of masters. There's an MIT professor who teaches mathematics, so he's going to be dropped into our curriculum. I handle the philosophy logic department and also the education department and the Pythagorean psychology area. And I hate to use the words extracurriculum or I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's in the the children are allowed to cherry pick whatever they want, whatever interests them. But they're given the formula right off, just so this is the sequence. And there's 3 levels of an educational system. There's the surface. I like to use the storefront example. You're going to hear me say this a lot, especially in the curriculum itself, is the storefront example. So imagine we're all walking down Diagon Alley and there are 18 shops. All of these shops are the academic disciplines. You're going to have a shop on the music department. There's 3 stores for the music department. There's 3 stores for the art department. And the first run through Diagon Alley is going to be your window shopping, and you're stepping into the store, inside the store. And there's going to be subjects. You're going to want to window shop all the subjects. And then after you window shop all the subjects, you step into each store one at a time. And we do this at kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And you learn and sample. It's a buffet of all the academic disciplines. And this is what we run through right up until they're about 8 years old. By the time they're 8, they know. They're like, okay, now which ones would you like to dissect? Because there's a whole back room to every one of these academic disciplines. But they have to first learn about the academic disciplines, understand how they interact with each other, what they do for our lives, and what the big picture is. So we teach them the big picture as well. We also teach them logic, and we teach them the empowerment discipline. It's literally an empowerment course where it teaches them how to DIY self-teaching, ethical leadership, all in one go, so that they don't need a teacher, which is why we don't have teachers on staff. We have supervisors. The supervisors are heavily trained in our curriculum and ethics, our policy, and our program, so that their job is to teach ethical DIY leadership and independence and self-authority. And then your child, and I use this example a lot in my work, like a bicycle, like a child learning how to ride the bicycle. You're not going to sit on the bicycle with the child pedaling the bicycle for the child. Don't parent like that. If you are one of those parents, please stop. That's enabling. Please don't do that. There's a lot of people who do that. There is done for you, and then there is DIY. And done for you is supposed to only be for the people who don't want to learn the skill. So this is where we get a lot of this messed up as adults, is you might be a DIYer who wants to learn how to do the skill. Now, whenever you ask the question how, you're actually asking for the logic of the subject. Logic is the how-to of everything. If you have logic, you can figure out the how-to of everything. That is what logic is. It's the how-to. That's why everyone's walking around going, I don't know how. I don't know how. Well, because you didn't learn logic. If you had logic, you'd know how to do everything, because logic is the science of how to do anything. So there's a lot of DIYers who want the logic so they know how to do something, but they don't know these words. They weren't taught this, so they don't know what they're asking. So they'll go up to a DFYer, a done-for-you person, and say, I want this. And the done-for-you person will go, well, here, I'll do it for you. And then it's done. And then you're sitting there going, but I wanted the logic. And this is where you have to really articulate. I'm looking for the logic. I am not looking for the done-for-you. Now, if you don't want the logic, but you want it done, that's when you want a done-for-you person. If you're like, I don't want to do my own surgeries. I don't. If I ever need a surgery, I don't want to do that for me. I am not a DIYer surgery person. I am just not. So I don't want the logic. I got to think about that. Do I really want the logic? Yeah, actually, I want to understand what and how they're doing it to me so I can consent. But okay, I don't actually want to know how to do what they're doing. Like they'll give me the little run through. Okay, thank you. I understand. I consent now. But I don't need the whole, how do you hold the scalpel? How do you, I don't want that stuff. I would rather have a done for you surgeon. So when you are actually in a hospital looking for people, you're like, all right, I want it done for you. Like that's how I was with my pregnancies. I wanted a DIY, like I'm a DIY pregnancy, I'm a DIY delivery. And I was like, but I want this to be done medically healthy safety with science. So I was like the hybrid of the two of I want the science on standby, you guide me, but you're going to like, I'm a DIY person. So you're going to like tell me, you're going to educate me, and I'm going to assess on whether or not you're just trying to jack up my bill on whether or not you're giving me crap that's bullshit. So I like my independence. I like to be able to assess whether or not I need half of the shit they're telling me that I actually need. So I go through all of this. And when you are looking for any kind of a solution, like plumbing is a great example. I know the science and the physics of plumbing. I am not a plumber. I've done it. I know I never want to do that again. So when I'm looking at plumbing or construction work, again, done it, been there, did it, know that I don't want to do it. So I would rather hire somebody to come in and do it for me rather than do it myself. So that's where I would get it done for you. And I don't need to sit down and go over the logic. I know enough about it that if they're doing it wrong, I'm going to be like, dudes, what are you doing to my house? But I would do the research prior to that. So if you are looking for the logic, then you're a DIYer. If you are a done for you, then it's like, what are you doing? And this is really a big schism that we're not talking about in our culture. Is if you are a DIYer, you really need another DIYer. You really need somebody who's got DIYer mindset. Now, if you run into the done for yous, those are your enablers. They're the ones who say, well, I'm not going to, no, I'll just do it. No, I'm not looking for a do it for me. I want you to teach me how to DIY. And you're going to find a lot of DIYers who are done for you. Those are your enablers. When you get a DIYer who is a done for you, those are your enablers. You don't want those in your life. Keep far away from them. They will take over everything and run your life right into the ground. You are not learning anything from them. A DIYer is somebody who not only DIYs, but they teaches you how to DIY, and that is empowering. So when you get the DIY to DIYer, you are getting empowered. But if you get the DIY who is done for you, you get the enabler. And that's the difference. And then you've got the other one where it's the parroting. Oh my God, these guys are toxic. You've got the parroting done for yous. The parroting done for yous are the worst thing in the world. These are teachers. They're just going to copy what they read without any understanding. They went to the school. They did the school how to be a parrot and just transfer this data onto children for a parroting atmosphere, but they don't actually have any access or practice in the curriculum. They don't actually do the profession they're teaching. That's where we hear real masters do, those who can't do teach. That's where it comes from. That is one idiom that is 100% truth. If they can't do it, then they teach it, which means they shouldn't be teaching it, because you're going to get somebody who's absolutely not versed in the vocation. So at the Healing Garden, masters only, and our masters are the DIYers for empowerment only. We make sure we have no done for yous. That's not what we want in our environment. We certainly don't allow parenting done for yous in our environment. So that is something we look for. And when we have trainers, and then we have supervisors, and these are a huge distinction. The trainers are the people who are actually the masters, who spend their entire day doing the vocation that they've mastered. They're the ones who are allowed to teach our students. The supervisors are not allowed to teach. They're the ones who need to make sure the child, if they're like basically an NPC. They are there to guide and teach the child how to DIY. And that's really it, is you've got the DIY school, and then you've got the, okay, here's the resources. So the DIY teacher, the supervisor, does not need to know any of the subjects. I mean, everyone needs to know the subjects. and they should be life learners. So our supervisors are life learners who are DIYers, but they are not qualified at all to teach because they might be apprentice or tradesman level. And if they're apprentice tradesmen, they are not qualified to teach. They have not been through the program to confirm, are you qualified to teach? Now, we might have a few supervisors who also say, I'm also a master. I will determine that because I know how to measure a person's academia, discipline, skill level. And if you know how to do that, that's something else we teach our children, is how to measure it's not even our children, our students, how to measure somebody's qualifications without a degree. You can't throw a degree in my face. That's bullshit to me. But if I need to see the quality of your work, and I will assess if you know what you're talking about because I know how to measure discipline. And that skill, measuring someone's qualifications, is what we teach our people for independence, self-authority, and empowerment. And those are the big three things that we go for. And it all revolves around the 12 ethics. So we're teaching self-regulation, the 12 ethics. We teach emotional management, subconscious mind's algorithm. We teach how to manage mental health, how to merge the mental health in with education. And we focus the entire education on a person's life choices and where they want to go in the system. So that is everything in a nutshell with the Healing Garden. And that's just our focal point with our educational system. It's all done for you. Or I'm sorry, it's all automated. So it's 100% you going through the program and learning it yourself, which empowers you to become more of a DIYer. It's perfect. And it's all automated. So it's just a sit back, there you go. Now we got two fronts on this. We have the online store, and that's 100% free. And once we have the homeschooling, which is all done for you. And that's set up there right now. So you can go through the program and you can just start learning this stuff. All of our education and information is 100% free online. If you want a supervisor, that's where our physical locations come into place. And that's where we're getting our school set up for our franchise. That's coming in 2025. And that is for members only. Our membership is equivalent to, it's $110 for adults and like $25 for children a month. And that's it. It's equivalent to a gym membership. Now, that being said, that gym membership is also a wellness fitness center. So you're paying for your gym membership at the actual school, which is available on weekends and after hours. It comes with a club, so you're also getting the club benefits. It comes with a book club. It comes with a philosophy club. Oh, and also it's your child's educational system. So we also have a community that we're also building. This is coming in 2025. So the membership that we're getting is for the community, for the PTA. It's all of it, in addition to the on-site facility. So what I would love to do is set it up so that the educational area is separate from the fitness center. I really want to pull that off so that adult members have access during non-school hours. We're working on the scheduling to figure out how to do it because I don't want adults in there at the same time. It's also going to be a key card entrance only with double key card entrance for security purposes. So, and the bullying is another factor that we brought into it because we have the 12 ethics. We teach the children how to recognize bullying, what bullying is. We have an anti-bullying course. And because everybody in that school is there by choice, because you can do this at home. So there's no reason for you to be in the facility unless you're a working parent. But if your child is expelled from the physical location, the child can go to the library and do the same program. They just won't have access to our physical location. So bullying is zero tolerance. You get one problem. Like it's because, and the reason why we have a zero tolerance bullying is because we teach the ethics. So you know what you are doing when you violate. There's no excuse. When you bully somebody, you are violating 9 out of the 12 ethics. So you can't claim, well, I didn't know. Oh, you know, because we teach an entire course on it, like right off. This is bullying. These are the 12 ethics. These are the 12 common denominators of humanity and happiness. And every time someone's bullied or there's an aggressor, they're violating the 12 ethics every time. So the whole thing runs around the education, the life, the wellness center, and the 12 ethics. It's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, that's it. Also, it's fully science. We base our children, our students, and it doesn't matter how old you are. This is you can be any age to access the online. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know. Part of me wants to split it this way so that somebody who wants to open a franchise can choose. Well, I want the adults only franchise. I want the child franchise. So you're going to have to choose. And the child, and that's it right there. Is we have adults only, so that the adults, it's a full school for the parenting adulting school side, and then we have our children only. So the children are getting the exact same facility, but the children it's exclusive for children only. So the parents, so we don't have adults in there when they're in their learning environment for their safety. In addition to that, we also have, and for those, if you're a parent of a child at the facility, then it's open to you on weekends. We have the family groups. So that's probably the best way, is we'll have the 2 franchise options for buyers, where it's, do you want to have the children only, or do you want the adults only? And that will really, yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do that. And we do background checks on like on the staff. The staff follows the same protocol as the US government. So it's basically taking what the US government has and then amplifying it, fixing it, plugging it in, and then increasing the standards and quality. And I'm going to say again, the online portion of it is 100% free. So you're only becoming a member if you want access to the facility, which is a full wellness fitness center. And also, if your child, in the case of the children, if the child is needing, if you're a working parent and you want to do homeschooling, but you need a place for your child to go while you do your job. So it's literally homeschooling location so that you can go do your job. This is the first 5 years of my educational system that I received, by the way. I was from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. I was in a supervisor environment where I was my own teacher. I had a program and I followed the program all on my own. And the supervisor was there. All that supervisor did for me, she taught me how to read. She taught me how to write. She taught me how to count. That was it. That's all she did. By the time I was 6 years old, I knew how to read. I knew how to count. I knew how to write. And then she got out of my way. And then all she did was circle a part of my book every day to say, this is where you're supposed to, that's your work goal. And then I did it. And that was it. That's how I learned my DIY. If I had a problem, I went to the library. Their library was garbage because it was 100% Christian-based library. And if God and Christ wasn't mentioned in it, I couldn't read it. So I found Pilgrim's Progress, the only classic piece of literature on site. And I just read Pilgrim's Progress over, which ironically was the 12 Ethics. So yeah, that definitely influenced me later. Like, I found the one piece of classic literature and it's the 12 Ethics. And I'm like, all right, I read it. I literally read that book about 10 times. It was my favorite book growing up, was Pilgrim's Progress. And I analyzed the psychology inside Pilgrim's Progress. Like, I'm understanding it. I loved it so much. And then I read it with the Bible and I'm like, I see a pattern. And then I sat down and started like tracking that pattern. So this is what's coming. This is what we have built. And what's beautiful is we do read-along courses so that the books walk you through here's the DIY section. Now here's how to apply the academia that you've learned. So if you have access to a public library, then you have access to the program. And our books are on Kindle Vella, so you can amplify those. And then we have the podcast. And the podcast is literally me coming on every day, updating you on, okay, this is where we're going with this. This is the upcoming news for the school. It's literally news on the school. It's news on our business aspect. And it's how we are rolling this out for society. So that parents, it's a parenting and adulting school. It's an ethical leadership school. It's a DIY school. It is literally everything you should have learned in life and didn't. It's how to take the academic disciplines and use them for your benefit. If you already are part of a homeschool program or you're already attending a different school, you can supplement what we have here with whatever you've got so you understand how to use academia for your life. It's literally the how-to academia. And so it's a very, very beautiful, flexible program. If you're a business owner, you can give this to your employees and say, here you go, amplify your education, learn why you and how you need to navigate. And I do daily consultations as well. And that is available on my website if you want to hire me for consultation. And I'm very strict on who I work with. In addition to that, we also have a do you want to upgrade your business with our program? Because our business is a whole massive upgrade on. So you're a business and you want to switch over to the ethical business model to accommodate a more healthy, wellness centered. We do that. We teach you how to incorporate health, wellness, mental health into your business so that, and that's it right there is if you are a business owner, if you are a C corporate, if you C-suite executive, I only work with C-suite executives. We basically give you an entire breakdown on, we diagnose your business and then we show you how to upgrade the quality of your business by implementing mental health, wellness, and the 12 ethics right into it so that you understand the sequencing of business so you understand how it flows properly. Because it's a sequence, it's logic. And I had one business who did this and it's all done for you. Like we just give you the diagnosis, we walk you through it. It's like a one-day consultation and you're set. We'll do follow-up with you. You can pick whatever size you want. And then your employees have full access to our homeschooling program so they can amplify their own education and or they can get their children involved. I'm considering a sick child daycare as part of this. And I'm still not sure if I want to do that. I'm still going, I'm not sure. Because I have to look at the legal of that and work that out, but I'm looking at it going, kind of want to do that. I kind of want to do that. And I'm probably going to talk to parents more and get more of a thing on that. A parent portal is in the works. We are talking about doing a parent portal. And that's something we're going to be bringing. I do say a lot, don't I? Oh, that's not okay. I gotta work on that. All right. So the parent portal is something that we're going to do. We got to bring that in. And that's something we're going to be implementing in 2025 when we open the franchise. So right now it's very much a, if you're homeschooling, if you want to homeschool, and if we don't have the answer, we find somebody who does. I do that a lot. Like in finance, the finance class course that we have is not finance course. We just accumulate the best of the best. And we say, this is where you need to go to learn this. So we are basically pointing arrows of this is where you need to go to learn this. And that's it really. And I pull from YouTube. I pull from Wikipedia a lot. I pull from Investopedia. I love Investopedia. Oh my God, do I. I pull from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In my business section, I use Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, Lamborghini, and who else do I use a lot of? I pull from master business owners. And I'm like, here you go. These are the guys you need to learn from. And it shows you a completely different business model. They really think differently they think differently. Apple think differently. Yeah, they absolutely really have figured business out. So when I teach business, that's something that I do say a lot. That's just not okay for me. When I do teach business, I pull from the masters, I accumulate the sources, and I just point the arrows to show you this is where you need to go for this information. And then I put it in the right sequence for you so that you understand and you're learning it in the right sequence. Then I teach you the science of sequence so that you can do this yourself without me so that you are more empowered and you understand the big picture of how this whole thing works. So it's literally society and how it functions and where you are in it 101. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and transfer, like this is dropped into my newsletter section on my website. Let me go over to the Healing Garden now. We have, and this was something else as I was going to bring somebody in to reformat the entire website. And I didn't. I found another theme and I went, oh my God, this is gorgeous. It absolutely nailed what I'm going for. And when you click on Triadic Healing is where all of our courses are. That's where all of our courses are. I need to change that so it says Triadic Healing courses. And then I am looking specifically for, well, down below we have university resources. So if you click on university resources, that's under our categories, it pulls up Getting Started, the help desk. That is where you're going to want to go. And when you get into the Getting Started help desk, this is where it walks you through the Healing Garden. It's the full tour. It breaks down what we're doing. And there's going to be a lot of spaces where it's an empty lesson. And that's because it's in the process of being built. And we have, so a lot of this needs to be updated. We have a quiz. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and, let me see here. Let me just make sure that I don't, okay, I feel like there's one more. I feel like there's definitely one more. It's not the getting started one. I feel like there's another one I'm looking for. I have to look at it to tell you what it is, because that's where I put my, let me see. Here it is, the Philosopher's Fountain. That's where this is going to go, the Philosopher's Fountain. So I have a couple things where I'm looking at them going, yeah, we can definitely merge these. So I have the Ethical Asshole, the Classroom Live on YouTube. That's going to get merged in with the Philosopher's Fountain. That's University News and Bulletin. So the University News and Bulletin is where this is. That's exactly where this is going to be dropped. And it's the newsletter, the Philosopher's Fountain. It's all of this. I don't know what my YouTube name is going to be. I've narrowed it down to, I was calling it the Ethical Asshole for a while. I change it every couple weeks to figure out, okay, I'm getting closer to that integrated self. Right now I have it as the Philosopher's Coffee, which I love philosophical coffee. I might be breaking it down to the Philosopher's Fountain. I might call it that. The Philosopher's Fountain, I love this, was something Plato did in Athens with his school, Academia. He had a fountain in his garden. He did the same thing I did. Or I did the same thing he did. And without knowing that he did it. It's like, okay, I see a lighthouse, a skyscraper, and then I see this massive garden around the base of it, and I see a fountain. But he would teach at the fountain. That would be one of his primary locations because of the educational environment. So he would teach at his fountain, and it's his office. It's where he was at his office all day. So that's it, really, is the Philosopher's Fountain is my office. It's where you can access me. So more, I want to call it the Philosopher's Fountain. And that's the newsletter. That's what this is. And that could easily span everything I've got. I do have a thing on Substack, but I don't like writing newsletters. I really just cringe when I get to those. I really don't like doing them. I almost want to do a news update once a week. I really want to do a news update once a week. I think I'll do that. Because I love doing this, and I do it whenever I feel like it. I have to follow my whim, self-regulation purposes. So that's where you'll find these videos, is very specifically in the Philosopher's Fountain newsletter, in the Triadic Healing courses. You can click on that university resources down below, and it will take you right to this is our news bulletin. This is all of our news for the school and all of our upcoming what we're doing. So I have 3 parts to the garden. I have the educational side, where that's where your children are. That's where you are. That's where we have the wellness fitness center, the ethics. I also have the philanthropic side, and the philanthropic side is huge. That's where we have the Radical Global Healing Plan. And that's a whole nother thing. And let me just check. Yeah, I have 2 hours to my meeting today on that one. And that is where we are collaborating with nonprofits, and we are funding those, we're bringing those in, and we are in the early launch stages of that. And then the third section that I have is the playground. That's where I do all my clubs. That's where I do all the fun stuff. And that's where we do the Healing Garden Summit over there, which is also part of the philanthropic side, members only. And then the other section that we have is the science side, where I am in the process of blueprint stage, building a science laboratory for scientists. It's literally a knowledge hub. It's not just an education hub. We are a knowledge hub. So the scientists who work under the Healing Garden label will own 100% of their discoveries. They own the rights. It is their work. They get full credit. That is not something they get anywhere else in any other facility. And the headquarters will be here in New York City, so that any scientist who wants this will have access to our laboratories where they can do the work that they do, and they own any of the discoveries. And it's all science. We go for holistic science. We also have the Science Alliance, where we bring all the sciences together to talk about how we're all interconnected and related. And my scientists have access to the school, so they can understand the integrated picture of, this is the sequence. This is why you need to know music. This is why you need to know logic, linguistics. And it's merging it all together so that it opens up new scientists so they can start using logic to reverse engineer science properly with scientific method. So our scientists are, all we want is this was sponsored by. That's all we want on anything that's discovered. We just want it was sponsored by. Everything else belongs to them, 100%. So if you are a scientist and you want, and we do not, we are, there's no, I'm a woman scientist. We do not discriminate. Logic is mandatory. We have a high standard and we have no tolerance for bias, no tolerance. So, and this is the beautiful thing is as our scientists discover this, that information is immediately transferred over to our educational department. And our sciences in our educational system this is what's coming out of our research facility right now. This is what these scientists have discovered. This is the innovation word. This is what they're uncovering. So it's this beautiful, oh my God, it's the highest, most innovated right here. I would love my own particle accelerator. I would love my own particle accelerator. I want this. I want a particle accelerator. That would be amazing. Maybe we would just work with CERN. Maybe we just work with them rather than buying my own particle accelerator. But that would be amazing. That would be amazing. I would love that. That would be amazing. So yeah, it's an all-in-one. And it's interesting because the CDC has their facility. You know, they do. The CDC has their science facility. And CERN has their science facility. And I'm looking at this going, can we please, like, scientists need their own science facility. Like, why don't we have this, people? So that is my dream, is to, instead of having universities have this, I want them to have their own. So that's what the Science Alliance is with the Healing Gardens laboratories. That's one of the things that we would be directing people toward. And linguists and logicians are two massively, like, those are sciences. And it's raising that massive bar up on, okay, as soon as you start reading and writing, welcome to the world of science. Welcome to the world of science. Science does not start with physics or math. Science begins with linguistics. Actually, it's all science. And that's what we do, is we integrate the science with the communications, with the art. It's all one sim. When you are an artist here, you are a scientist. And when you are a scientist, you find your art and you got to merge them all together. So that's what we go for, is the integrated disciplines. We integrate all the disciplines. And this is what the Healing Garden is in the process of building. So stage one is complete. Stage one is complete and is in the refinement stage, which is the homeschooling DIY program for the people. Stage two is the Radical Global Healing Plan, where we unroll it en masse. Stage three is the Science Alliance. Oh yeah, when we get the scientists inside of our building and we start building that up. So that's our very excited for that. I believe that's everything. Thank you so much, and I will see you shortly. May the kindest of words always find you.